Ziggity bop bow. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have a beautiful Saturday. Hope everybody's getting their sun in, vitamin D. So what's going on in the EOS network? Well, we got the Eden election coming up. I think the Eden election is set to go October 9th, which is coming up. So first question for everybody is, are you planning to participate in the election? I'm allegedly looking to maybe participate. I don't know how much information I don't know how much information Eden will require. And so even as an OG, it'd be awesome to participate, but kind of like the voice stuff, I was wasn't really interested in doing the KYC. So provided that the requirements aren't too burdensome, I'll probably look to participate. And I'd like to try to use this channel as a way to seek input from community who maybe even aren't on the Eden network, aren't on the governance layer. What ideas you guys would like to see brought forward. The election right now for the October 9th, I guess first real run is for 200,000 EOS, which translates to I think at the current price close to $1 million, which doesn't sound like a lot, but is quite significant, especially when you consider that we're a global community and there's a lot of regions where $1 million can go quite far. Not so much in maybe the United States, but there's a lot of other regions where it does work and it does do a lot. So I don't know, let me know what you guys think about that. Obviously I'm outside, I forgot to mention that, getting my vitamin D on. Hopefully you guys are doing the same. Got some pull-ups in today, so and a little bit of a run. And I'll actually be changing venues. So I'll be moving away from the desert and up in the mountain areas. So it'll be a change for me, but definitely looking forward to that. So are you guys making any changes? I'd like to know. I'm kind of going more towards a smaller town, smaller community. I think there's value in accountability in small towns. I'd like to see if that, with the dynamics we have going on now, if that'll prove to be a better decision over a region that just has so many people and it's just a sprawl. Not to suggest though that I'm not close to a major city, but it's just a little bit more strategic, I think, in terms of where I want to be. So there's that. So you might see some changes in the background in some of my videos moving forward. But having said that, I mean, back to the Eden discussion, 200,000 EOS up for grabs. First question is, are you guys participating? Second question is, do you guys see the value in something like this? And at first, I'm going to be honest, and even now, I remain skeptical. I've said that on a lot of videos. However, I do see the potential for Eden as a reputational layer beyond the governance system and beyond the funding itself on Eden, the funding that makes up this system, where maybe additional tools or projects are brought forth for the benefit of the entire community. I actually see Eden being maybe used for even commercial ventures. Today we have Uber that is one of the largest ride-sharing apps around the whole world. And right now it's private, I think it's still a private company. It might be a publicly listed company, but it was VC funded, and there are pseudo reputations on Uber. I mean, there's KYC and there's cars, but you know, imagine if you had a reputational layer like Eden that was geo, somehow you knew within maybe your immediate locality, users you may want to trust, or they've been on the network for a long time, so you could signal maybe to them that you're in this particular region, and maybe you have an idea for a business, or maybe it's as simple as you need help, or you're interested in maybe co-owning different assets like a car. So maybe you know, what I thought of originally when I started even this journey on EOS of ride-sharing apps. Maybe it's a different way, you know. Maybe it's more about, hey, I want to perhaps buy this vehicle, but I don't have the money, and I don't need it all the time. But maybe there's a way I can work with my fellow men and women within this community to actually buy the tools I need, right? And through some kind of constitution or agreement with them, we establish a working relationship, a cooperation, right? And how we can do this, and how we can do a business, how we can maybe buy certain tools that are beyond our reach, because doing it as one person is very onerous of a task, financially maybe, and maybe there's other things too from a skill set perspective. But having maybe 20 people, you know, each contribute, that kind of changes the game in terms of what you can do, because you have orders of magnitude scale in terms of time, finance, and maybe even skill sets, right? And if you have a sufficiently you know, number of people who are in support of an idea, you could even have other benefits such as security, right? Even such things as simple as land, and having that subdivided, you could have a much better opportunity combining forces with orders of magnitude more people to do something versus going out and venturing on your own. So I'd like to know what you guys think about that idea. Do you think that we'll ever see something like that, leveraging Eden? Because I think over time what you're going to see, and we're not there yet because obviously Eden hasn't had its first election, and we just don't have the quantity of people on the network to make it worthwhile. But you know, over the course of say a couple years, Eden right now has, you know, probably less than 200 users. But if you got to 1 million users, if you got to 10 million users perhaps, now you're talking about a quantity of people that could effectively do something beyond just, I guess, obtaining money from the Eden Foundation or whatever it's called. Now you're talking about just power numbers and people even with income and finances beyond the network that can organize and who can trust each other because they've seen the behaviors, or maybe they've even known these behaviors. They can study it on the blockchain for years. And so Eden, in my opinion, becomes almost like a proof of accountability, a proof of reputation for people to trust one another, or not, or to have a dispute, right? And maybe, I think there's still in some cases with some of these agreements I would imagine would be possible in Eden, such as buying a car. I think there's still a requirement for some kind of, you know, depository insurance layer or some type of obviously dispute resolution, but also some type of a way that ensures that people are secure in how they're going about doing this membership exchange, because it's really not a, especially in the United States, and this is kind of the idea I'm kind of interested in. It's more about I guess almost like a timeshare with different types of assets. Would that be legal and possible as a membership? So you're not necessarily maybe setting these up as securities, because there is no expectation of a profit on the actual representation of the asset. Merely what you're doing is you're forming an agreement on the rights to such asset as friends, as friends do, as people do, but it's just done with this additional security layer, maybe with a deposit or some kind of security amount put down within the contract, right? So that you have some checks and balances on abuse and fraud. That's what I'd like to see personally, that the EOS system go to. I'd like to know if you guys think that that's a good idea or a bad idea or a stupid idea. What are some of your ideas you'd like to actually see? Some other ideas that I think are ripe for discussion and formulation would be a EOS meetup. An EOS, not just a meetup in a sense of a homie meetup, but an EOS, I guess you could say, like a gathering of people from all the countries. And maybe because of the issues that we're on right now with the restrictions, maybe it's done on a country by country basis. So maybe the United States has one, maybe in Asia there's one, maybe in parts of South America where EOS is active there's one, in Africa there's one. And so that's another reason why it would be nice to probably have some locality. Not suggesting that people give their exact locations, but maybe by at least a region or ability to sign in terms of a region. I think it would be useful, because then it allows you to better organize these types of events. But we haven't had one of those on EOS in a long time, and I felt like, me personally, I felt like the camaraderie or the sense of momentum we lost when those came to a close. So that would be one I'd be looking to support. I don't know if just myself I could do it, but I wouldn't be really interested in the money. I probably would. It would be interesting just to actually finance a venue and get the right people involved to have these types of events, because they are important for the community. And so I'm curious if there's other people in the United States who would be interested in helping with that. If you think that's a good idea to pitch, I'm really looking at having this channel be more of that type of a forum for you guys, and see if we can I guess help contribute in some way. Obviously we're not all coders, we're not all engineers, we're not all technical people, but sometimes you need ideas beyond that. And so that's kind of what I was interested in hearing from you guys. The third idea I have is more of an embassy, where, because in these countries, especially emerging markets, it's cheaper, maybe it makes more sense to finance some type of a embassy to help people get onboarded. And the cost to do so in those countries is much cheaper than in the United States. So just to maintain the facilities and whatnot. So I'd like to know what you guys think. What are your thoughts on that? Let me know. And until the next one, this is Phoenix signing off. Peace.